Hello, I hope you're doing well today. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the SOTA Toys Street Fighter Gin from round 3 or wave 3. This one's an exciting one for me. Gin is a character that's always resonated with me. I think I just like the old Kung Fu master aesthetic, and he's fun to play as. And this one also should be a bit interesting because this is the only mass-produced action figure of Gin that there is right now. I don't know if Storm Arena or J-Dub will be tackling him in their alpha lines, but either way, it'll probably be a couple years before we see again if they decide to make one. So I'm looking forward to getting this guy out of the box, but before we do that, we'll just take a look at the packaging. If you watched the Guile video, it's the exact same packaging because Gin here is from the same wave as Guile. So we have the green background, Street Fighter logo, Ryu up here. We have this nice art in the bottom corner here. And then we have a list of some of his special moves and how to do them. We can clearly see the figure and all that he comes with in the front window, round 3. And then on the back again, we have the other figures in the wave. We looked at Guile already. I have Adon in the box. I bought Sakura loose, so she's not going to have her own video. And then Balrog, the type of video I do for him will depend on how I acquire him, because I do not have him yet. He's a bit harder to find for a good price. Again here, I got him bundled with Adon on eBay at an auction. So I got him for a fairly decent price. So let's go ahead and get him out of the box and take a look at what he comes with. All right, and so here we have again out of the box in his tray, and yes, it does pain me to open these guys out of their perfect packaging, but well, I guess the packaging is showing some yellowing, and I mean, I buy these guys to not keep in the package. I want to open them and set them out and pose them around, so yeah, I do feel bad opening these guys up, especially since they carry a good bit of value, but ultimately, what's important is the figure inside. So before we look at Gin, we're going to look at what he comes with in the tray here. First thing I'm going to do is, whoops, pop this little hand out here. So this is Gin's fighting pose hand here. He's got the little, pardon me, pinching fingers there that he does in the game. We can see mine's got a little sculpting thing there, but we can see he's got the wrinkles painted like usual and the fingernail sculpting and painted, so that's really nice. We can see some light vein work in the hands there, so really well detailed. SOTA did really well with their hand sculpts always. So next we're going to look at one of these. This is kind of like a wide open hand here that he's got. He uses these for some moves that he does. Again, we can see some of the wrinkles in his hands and on his fingers, painted fingernails. This looks really nice, and it's kind of a bigger hand, I guess, to fit some of the Street Fighter proportions that are typical. And then the last thing I want to look at is his alternate head. So this looks really nice. He's got a bit of a smirk going on and a raised eyebrow. I really like that. You can see the sculpting in his beard and some of the shading. And that looks really nice. If you can tell, his eyes are painted. He's got a little like pink under his eyes. That looks pretty nice. And on his lips, and yeah. I'd say these figures aged really well. Oh no. The sculpting and paintwork is really unmatched for the time, and it's something we don't see a lot anymore today. So I'm excited about this head sculpt. This is probably the one that I will have him wearing, I guess is the word, or using, that he'll be displayed with. So now we've looked at his accessories. Let's go ahead and take a look at Gin here. Let's pop him out. first time opening this guy, holding this guy. This guy has not been held before by anybody outside of his box. So that's exciting. Overall, I would say that Gin here is one of the SOTA figures that aged the best. Out of any of the SOTA figures, Gin is one that you could really take and stand alongside some of your modern Street Fighter action figures, and it'll work. There's a few reasons behind that that we'll look at in detail. But overall, I would say this guy looks really nice. You can already just see all the sculpted detail in there, and the paint looks nice and clean. So before we pinch in too close, I'm gonna try to stand Gin up. I'm pretty sure he's one of the SOTAs that's kind of notoriously hard to stand, and we'll take a look at why later. Let's just go ahead and this is Gin's Player 1 colors in the purple with kind of the red shoes and red, I guess, sash. Looks really nice. Let's get the tape measure out. Stand him up. Yeah. Gin actually stands right below 6 inches, a notch below. Yeah. So he's a short king, which is nice. It's nice to have some variation in the scale here. I really don't think I'm going to be able to get him to stand on his own for a few reasons that it appears as I'm holding him. Well, let's just go ahead and stand him up against some modern Street Fighter figures. So here we have Gin standing next to a modern Street Fighter, the Storm Arena Charlie Nash. These two are both from the Alpha series of games, and just looking at them side by side, I would say that that's pretty fair scaling. Gin is a tad bit shorter than Charlie, and I think that works. On an aesthetic level, Charlie is a bit brighter, a bit more simplified sculpt, but I think you could fudge Gin in with your Street Fighter Alpha line from Storm Arena. For a Jada comparison, we're going to go ahead and stand Chun-Li next to Gin. I think this is a comparison that makes sense. I understand the characters have a bit of history, not in a weird way, but I'm pretty sure Gin helped train Chun-Li or something like that. And we can see proportionally, like, Chun-Li's head is like bigger than Gin's, and she stands a little bit shorter than him, which I guess works. Storm Arena already had a bit of a cartoony look. Jada kind of is even more so. You can well, this isn't Chun-Li's alpha look. I don't know if you're going to want to stick Chun-Li in with Gin, but in case you wanted that comparison, there you go. And then we also, kind of to get a more average scaling, we have Fei Long here. And Fei Long actually is, he's a good bit taller than Gin. I don't know if that comes off in the camera. And he's got a lot more wideness and thickness to him. He kind of makes Gin look a little small. So you could probably pose these guys to where they're fighting and you can't really notice the size difference. If you wanted to do that, they're both like Kung Fu Street Fighter characters. So that's why I brought Fei Long in here, and he's kind of a more average size Jada. But that's all the scaling I have for modern Street Fighter action figures. For a Marvel Legends comparison, here is the Game Reverse Captain America. Gin does not appear in any of the Marvel crossover games as far as I know, but Captain America is a fair bit bigger than he is, and I think that works. Again, I'm not really sure what Gin's size is in the games, but this figure is kind of small. Captain America kind of towers over him. And then lastly, we have the DC Universe Classics The Question, who also towers over Gin. So there we have that. All right, now that we have all that out of the way, we're going to take a closer look at Gin here. So, I want to start with the head sculpt. Very well done. We can see, as I talked about with the other head sculpt, all of that painted detail in the hair looks really nice. I really love the white eyes on Gin. I don't know what makes Capcom decide to give a character all white eyes and not like Gin or Sagat, but I love that design choice when they use it. It gives him a certain menace about him. That looks really nice. Everything is well painted. The skin tone looks great. More realistic than if you just did molded plastic like a modern action figure. Overall looks really nice. Again, I'll probably use the kind of smirking head sculpt. But moving down to the clothes, we have some nice sculpting in the wrinkles there. Looks very nice. We can see this very clean line work with the white and the gold for, I don't know if you call it buttons or straps or whatever on his outfit here. That looks really nice. The figure is kind of got a matte coat of paint, which makes him look nice. Nothing really shiny there or glossy, except for a couple of areas that are a bit more glossy, but it doesn't really hurt the look. It might be intentional, like on his red sash here or on his sleeves. Here we have Gin's fist hands on his where his hands go, of course, and detailing is all the same there with the vein work and the sculpting. Moving down, we have some more clean line work on the edges of his, I guess, yeah, I don't know the technical term, robe, sash. Then here, on his pants, I can't tell if that's a navy or a different shade of purple, but it is a different color, and it looks nice. Then moving down to the feet, we have some white socks and some red shoes. The paintwork is clean enough. Won't really be looking too much down there. And then at the bottom, we have these flat soles here that are painted kind of an off-white, different color from the socks. That looks nice. One thing about Gin here, and I mentioned it, it's what makes him hard to stand, is these feet. Let me see if I can get a better. If you can tell, his feet are not perfectly flat, and they can never be perfectly flat. This is how they are sculpted, and you might can tell, spoiler alert, he has a toe hinge, and it does not go lower than that. And so that makes Gin fairly hard to stand. And that's something that they did with some of the figures in this line. Sakura has the same problem. And I think Vega also has that problem from this line. So those are some things to acknowledge. I've had a hard time making him stand since I got him, so he's probably gonna have to stand in some kind of pose that'll help him stand upright. But that is one thing to note. Oh, I did it. Hard to tell how I did it, but so that's one thing to note. But overall, aesthetically speaking, I'd say he looks great. I think you could fudge him in with some of your modern Street Fighter action figures. When we go into the articulation, we'll talk some more about the ways that this guy's aged well, and we are going to be doing that now. Looking at posability here, the head is on a double ball peg, dumbbell joint, and he gets a good bit of tilt there. He can go around. Doesn't look up super far. Doesn't look down much, and I don't even think that's the beard getting in the way. They were using dumbbell joints before anybody else, it seems like, but it still, I guess, had not been optimized. We get our rotation there, and I think you'll be able to get Gin to do whatever you need him to do, probably. Looking down, we have some ball hinge shoulders, but they're kind of more proportional to the arm versus something like some other figures in the line, like M. Bison. So it doesn't really affect the aesthetic very much. Honestly, it looks like the right shoulder is bigger than the left. Yeah, his right is bigger than his left. I wouldn't know about that. But yeah, those function well enough. You can get up about that high, a little past 90, which works. And again, doesn't look too bad. it's kind of hidden by the bicep swivel here. It kind of rides up, and it's well proportioned, so it looks all right. That's one of the things that makes this figure kind of age well. The shoulders are kind of one of the more noticeable things on these guys. Another thing that helps him age well are the double jointed elbows. This guy is one of the better posers from the line. He can get all the way bend there, and you know, it looks like a double jointed elbow, but it functions nicely. Here we have our wrist swivel, maybe. These guys definitely get stuck joints. I think part of that is that they're covered completely in paint, and just being older action figures. He definitely has to have a wrist swivel, but I can't get it to move, and I'm not gonna break this guy trying. So he has a wrist hinge here, and again, the clothes are a big part of it. They really hide some of the older articulation, like the separate swivel and hinge at the wrist. Here he's got an ab crunch that looks nice enough, doesn't break up too much of the sculpt. Let's see how far forward it goes. He goes forward pretty far, so that looks nice, and you can kind of get him to look up. No, not really. We've got a big old pin there, but that doesn't really bother me too much. And they kind of cut out a lot of the side here, I guess, to make his arms go down lower. Okay. Yeah, his arms can go like all the way in, which is nice if you want them to be able to do that. They did cut kind of some chunk out of the torso to make that happen. Leaning back. Yeah, he leans back. He does lean back. So if you want to get him to have that look up motion, maybe he's facing down Sagat or something, then you can use that ab crunch to help him look up a little bit. So something about this figure that I also really like, again, the clothes kind of help hide a lot of the older articulation, including the ball hips here. So, I mean, you can't even tell that he kind of has those uglier old school ball hips with his outfit here, which is really nice. And because it's well hidden, they cut a ton off of his hips here so that he can have even more range of motion. So going out to the side, he can go all the way up, which is really nice. Let's just go ahead and do this side too. Perfect splits. He can, yeah, perfect splits. I was gonna say he can even go farther, but I don't think so. But that's still incredible. He can kick all the way forward before having to twist off, and then he can just keep going. So that is really nice. You definitely are going to be able to pose this guy really well. This is one of the better posers from the line. Pretty modern in terms of posability, and I like how they were able to utilize the clothing to make him one of the better posers. That's one of the things I like about this guy. You can see he's got the thigh swivel there. That works well enough. Double jointed knees. That was common for the line. I think all of them had double jointed knees, but you can get all of the range of motion that you need there. Works well enough. I don't think he has a swivel at his the cuff of his pants there. Yeah, the sculpt looks too, yeah. No swivel at the cuff of his pants, but again, he has that thigh swivel, so you should be fine. Hinge ankles, he can point the toe that far forward. Sorry about that. Can point it up that far. And then he has the old school SOTA style foot rotation in lieu of like an ankle pivot. And you know, it doesn't look terrible from some angles, really, if you're looking at it from like right there. Yeah, maybe, but I think it still works fine enough. And then we have our toe hinge that goes pretty much to 90, which works. And then, yeah, it doesn't go below that. So no flat feet for this guy, but he still poses really well. I look forward to getting some pictures of him in different poses with different figures with his various accessories. So I'd say this guy definitely for the time poses very well. I think he can stack up with some modern action figures. He has those nice ball hips, which really give him more range than a lot of modern figures. Say what you will about ball hips, but all the Marvel Legends and all the SOTAs at the time were getting full splits, where modern action figures are not. Overall, I would say this guy, for the price, he is, if you're a Gin fan, if you're looking for a Gin to fill out your line, you don't want to wait a year or 2 or 3 for Jada or Storm to release a Gin figure, this guy might be worth picking up. I'd say loose, you can find him in the $30 to $40 range. In the box, that's going to be a bit hard. In the box, that's going to be a bit more difficult, probably in the $60 to $100 range. Thankfully, I got this guy bundled with Adon for a pretty good price. If I split them up, I mean, I got this guy for probably about 45 bucks, new in the package. So I got a good deal on this guy. Sometimes you can find those good deals. This guy is a nice piece of action figure history. If you're a Street Fighter enthusiast or an action figure enthusiast, this guy might be worth picking up, especially since he's aged pretty well. So I appreciate you watching. I hope that I gave some input that maybe somebody else who's looked at this guy hasn't given. Kind of held him up to modern scrutiny. And if there's any way I can improve, I would love to hear some feedback. Again, well, not again. I'm still working on the setup here as far as like lighting and stuff. I'm filming this at 6 in the morning in the shed in my backyard. So hopefully I can work on getting things more professional looking over time. But hopefully this will do for now. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.